Hi guys, it's Martin here from Westronics. In today's video I'm going to show you how to quick fix a Valeo alternator. Them alternators have been fitted in vehicles for years and years. The main problem in them alternators is that the brushes go in them. It's a simple job, it's quick, it's cheap, and most of the time will either solve the problem completely, because that's what happens with a lot of them, or it'll get you to the point where you can go to the mechanic or to the auto electrician to do the job properly. Now guys, this is one of them Valeo alternators. Now they fit a range of vehicles, Fords, Audis, Volkswagens. They can be fitted into anything really. Now they come in different shapes and sizes, but the best way to recognize that's the one you have is just to simply have a look at the alternator, and there's always going to be a sticker saying Valeo somewhere at some stage, at some point. As you see, this one is at the back plastic cover there. And in case of this alternator, this one actually has a sticker on the side, but as you see, it always says Valeo, and there's always a bit of a numbers there, and it says Valeo here on the green. Now, this is the alternator I'm going to be doing today. Now, if the alternator isn't charging, we take the alternator out obviously, and this is it. Now, there's always a black plastic cover at the back of them, which has to be taken off. Now, sometimes dim plastic covers, like in this case, there's no nuts holding it; it just pops out. Where in this alternator, the plastic cover is held by two screws, here and on the other side here. But the one I'm showing today is not held by anything. So we just simply take off the cover, get the screwdriver, lever it off. That'll come off very easy. Some of them you have to use both. Now, what we see here is a rectifier, which is never a problem in them, and regulator. Now, the brushes are always situated in the regulator, and that's where the problem is most of the time. Now, there could be different regulators. As you see, this one has a plug here, some ones have bolts or different assemblies on them, but that's what you want to take off, the regulator of the alternator. Now guys, regulators on them alternators are usually held by three screws. It's one here, and one there. Now some of them might have one here and only one here and one there. It could be different layout, but generally the regulator looks familiar to this one. Now what we have to do, we just take them off. Normally they are 7 sockets. Now we have our bolts off, pull off the regulator, and as you can see, the brushes in it are very short. Now, to be 100% sure it's a problem, the best thing to do is to have a look at the slip ring, and as you can see, the top slip ring is blackened, and bottom one is shiny. Now that means there was no connection being made there at the top slip ring, means the top brush is gone. Now in newer alternators, in newer regulators, what you can see is inside there where the brushes are situated, the brush is pulled back, is held by a little plastic piece inside of the cap. Now the best thing to do to take that cap out is to simply just get a small screwdriver, shove it underneath the brush inside there, and just break off the little plastic thing, and then the cap will shove off. The plastic blockers, the idea of it is that they are easier to be assembled when they are manufactured new. So break off the piece inside and shove the cap out. Now guys, we have our cap shoved off the brush. Now in here you can see we have two brushes. Now this one is relatively shiny, which means it was making the contact, but this one on the middle, it's blackened. This means this is our problem. Brushes are our problem, and changing them will simply solve it. Now to change brushes, we have to loosen them there now, because the brushes have the leads going along. Usually there's a silicone bubble here put on all of them. Simply what you have to do is just break it off, and we have two of them connections here. Now the next thing to do is get a hacksaw, or if you have grinder or grinding stone, and all what you have to do is just get them tips off and level them. I'll do it and I'll show you guys how it should look after you have it done. Now guys, this is done. As you can see, the tops are off and these surfaces are quite shiny. What we can do now, we just heat it up with the soldering iron and the brushes will simply hop out. I'll show it to you how it's done. Now if you're going to be doing it yourself, it'll be a bit easier for you if you just put the bubble of solder. Now you see, one brush is out, and now we just heat up the other one and the other one is out. Now what you want to do as well is you want to give them surfaces another shot of iron and make sure you have a visible holes in there so you can pull the new lead from the brush out through them, just like this. See, you can almost see through them. You can see through them. Now, but before we are going to change our brushes and before we do all that, the most important thing is to have a good look at the slip rings there. Now, these slip rings, as you can see, if you've seen my videos before, and some of them I explain how to see if the slip ring is bad or good. Now, as we can see, the bottom slip ring, the surface there is quite uneven. There's a little track cut in, but that doesn't mean it's gone. The bottom one is actually quite good. Now, the one on the top here, this one, it's blackened. So first of all, we have to give it a little clean up with the fine sandpaper to make it nice and shiny. And the other thing is, the track inside is actually quite deep. If you put your finger down, you can actually feel the edges quite sharp. Now this slip ring is down a fair bit, but it's still usable. After changing the brushes and cleaning this surface, this still will work for a good bit. The slip rings are usable as long as you don't see as there's no plastic going through them. If you clean up your slip ring and just turn around the rotor, if you can't see the plastic through, it means it will work. So let's clean it up and change the brushes in our regulator. Now guys, we have our slip ring nicely cleaned. See, the top and the bottom are shiny now. It's time to put new brushes into the regulator. Now guys, this is the reason why I'm making this video, because them two brushes, they fit all of the Valeo alternators for the last manufactured in the last 30 years. It's the same set of brushes, they never change for the last 30 years. So even if your alternator is very old, there's only one type of brushes that does that. We have our regulator here. Now what we do first is put the spring through first. Now get your brush, make sure the lead is kind of straight looking enough. Now shove your lead gently inside and there you go, it's gone through. Now the next step is just shove the brush in, make sure it brush kind of comes out like that, then fold the lead over like that, and all what you have to do is get the pliers, hold the lead with the pliers and put a drop of solder onto the connection there. Now guys, we have our bit of solder here. It's not that easy to do it on your own, but we try, we do our best. Now just feed a bit of solder there, heat it up. Now the important thing to remember is, while you're doing it, is that you want this hole to be blanked off by the solder. As you see in this situation, we have succeeded. Now all what you have to do now is just simply break off the wire, and our brush is nice and flexible in there. Never use too much solder, because what can happen is the solder can run down the copper wire and can harden the wire, and it will simply break off then. Do the same thing with the second brush, and it's time to put that back into the alternator. Now guys, our brushes are changed. Now we are going to fit the regulator back onto the alternator. Simply what you have to do is pull the brushes back with your fingers and slide the regulator over the slip rings. And now we just have to put our 3 bolts back in where they were. So one here, 2 of them there, and now we just have to simply tighten them. Now we have our 3 bolts tightened, and this is our cap, which we haven't forgot about. What you do is just put the cap over the reg and just simply slide it down like that, and that's it. The cover goes on. Just like that, and the alternator is good to be put in the vehicle, and it will, you could be 100% sure it will work. Now, them alternators come in different shapes, different sizes, but the general rule of the thumb is that the brushes are exactly the same in every single one of them. If you think the slip rings are good enough to work, just change the brushes, put everything together, and it'll work away. And it's simple, it's as simple as that. It's never any more complicated than it is in this, as it was in this case. Sometimes there's only 2 bolts holding the cover, and that's about it. There's always 3 bolts holding the regulator. There's only 2 brushes in them. Diagnose the slip rings, diagnose the brushes. If you think that will solve the problem, it will definitely make the alternator charge again. And it's a cheap job as well. Now guys, thanks for watching the video. Remember, as I said, it's a Valeo alternator, and they are like that for the last 30 years. They're all the same regulator, all the same brushes. It's a simple, cheap job. I hope you get it done rightly and it'll work away for you. Please, if you like the video, give us a like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos. Stay tuned. Thanks.